Un jugador que empezó muy pronto, la verdad que
I'm a footballer who started very, very young. I made my debut in the First Division 7 years ago now, and I'm only 23 still. I made my debut in Zaragoza at the age of 16, and I've always been a Sevillista. I started at Seville from a very young age, as a very young kid.
Cuando eres pequeñito, tiene muchos recuerdos.
I have lots of great memories from when I was very young. I remember, for example, when Diego Maradona signed for Sevilla. I went to see him play once, and that image of him will be with me forever.
Sevilla es donde he vivido, es donde he nacido.
Seville is my home. It's where I've always lived. Even though I was actually born in Utrera, which is just outside the city, I always think of Seville as my hometown. That's the town, then there's the club. I always think of Sevilla as my team as well. It's thanks to them that I'm sitting here today. They gave me everything they could give me from the day I first walked into the club at the age of 9. It's Sevilla that made me the footballer and the person that I am today.
No sé, yo creo que esas son cosas que se viven en Sevilla.
Nowhere, I think nowhere do they do flamenco like in Seville. In the dressing room here in Madrid, if I put some flamenco music on, the other players, they don't know anything about it, they don't really understand it, and they're always bursting with questions. They always want to ask me things. I think flamenco's easy for those of us from Seville to understand, but it's really hard for everyone else to grasp properly.
Sí, tengo además uno en casa.
Yeah, I have a football table at home. I play a bit, although I must admit I'm not really that good at it.
These days you can watch the best players in the world from the comfort of your living room. Or you can celebrate their goals from the stands in the stadium. But there is another way to enjoy the game, with just a flick of your wrist. Footballing is a well-known invention that allows anybody to feel like a footballer. All you need are 2 to 4 players and the ability to concentrate.
In Spain, people have always played footballing in bars. There have always been competitions, and these days there are even more. But the fact is that it still remains a bar game.
Who hasn't wanted to play in a Clásico between Real Madrid and Barcelona, or to take part in a Madrid derby, and there are national leagues, European championships, and even World Cups of football in which the object is, of course, to score 1 more goal than your rivals.
We discovered on the internet that there's a huge following for the game throughout the whole world, and as Spanish champion I took part in the last World Cup, which was in Austria. Truth is, I took a real beating there. They were very good and really well prepared, but even so it was great fun, and it does show that it's a universal game.
Even the footballers from the Primera Liga enjoy playing in their hotels as they prepare for their weekly games, and even though there's still a ball in play, it allows them to relax and, who knows, even win a bet or two.
Sometimes when the team is staying in a hotel, we get together and play table football or pool, and it can be quite competitive. I left England and chose to come to Real Madrid because this is the best club in the world. That's something I said even when I was still in England. I'm not just saying it now that I'm here. Coming here was the obvious choice for me. Joining Real Madrid is a huge step. I think it's every player's dream. To put on a Madrid shirt, to play at the Bernabeu, and to score on your debut. That day, things went better than I could ever have expected. From the moment I ran out onto the pitch, with the fans on my side, singing my name, it was fantastic. I have very special memories of that day, probably more than any other day. It's probably the best I've experienced here so far, and one thing's for sure, I'll never forget it. I have loads of dreams left to chase. I want to win all the titles there are to win, and hopefully I want to do that with Real Madrid.